Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 56 of the Parenting Autism Podcast. You can find us at www.parentingautismshow.com. My name is Chris, and I'm joined by my lovely wife, Sandy, here today. And welcome to the new year, 2021. How are you, Sandy?
I'm great. How are you doing, honey?
Good.
Good.
So tell us about what we're doing today.
I know you always lean it over to me to figure out what we're doing. Well, it's a happy new year.
Yes.
And it's the first podcast that we're kicking off for this year. I've been reflecting on highlights from 2020 and obviously thinking about goals for 2021. And that's kind of where my mind has been from a parenting autism perspective. And I recently put a blog post out on our website, which you referenced, the www.parentingautismshow.com. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a mouthful there, but yeah. We have our blogs there, and I'm going to be using that more in 2021, I believe, because I've just really felt this calling to share more words and to be more generous with words. I was telling you earlier today that words are so powerful. They can either build you up or they can break you down. They can cheer you up or they can depress you. I think with all the media that's out there, we can all testify that that is true. And I really feel like I want to use my words to build people up, and also to use this podcast and our blog post as a platform for our listeners to be able to share their stories, their journeys in words. I know we don't have guests on here very often, but I figure we could have guests through the blog. So after I did the 25 accomplishments of 2020 for Bryce, which people can read on our blog, I reached out to some of our listeners who have reached out to us throughout the past year. And I invited them to share 3 accomplishments that they've experienced in their homes, and then like a goal for 2021. And everyone was very receptive to it, very excited to be a part of our show in that way. And I want to invite everybody to go and read those stories. It's really great and exciting. And so we have 5 different families, but actually 6 children and different ages, different states throughout the United States. We even have one from Nigeria, and you know, one family, they have 2 children on the spectrum, ages 2 and 5. And you know, I just applaud every parent out there that God has chosen to have the gift. It really is a gift and a privilege to be the parents to these children who are so special, so unique, and so wonderful. And I can read and see the theme in this is the kindness, the sweetness. And yes, there are behaviors that make you want to pull your hair out sometimes, but they're so pure and their hearts are so good. And, you know, that's where I want to focus. And that's really why I wanted to find 25 highlights for Bryce. You know, it would be easy for me to go on the negative, but go ahead.
I think it is sometimes easy to go down the gloom path when you're in it, you know, and something's going down, you know, but I agree, starting out the new year, you know, people like to think of it as, okay, we're starting a new chapter, you know, even though 2020 is rolling into 2021, you know, with some of the things, but if you concentrate on the positive things and you start your mindset that way, you know, that it can only be better than if you started it the other way.
It's it. I mean, and it really is so much of a mindset and where you're focusing. And I know that for me personally, there have been times that I had to dig really deep to find more positive than negative things, you know, just depending what was going on in my world. But I would encourage everyone to take this on as an opportunity to just you don't have to go, I'm an overachiever, so 25 is a lot. But, go for 5 or 10 really positive things that you have seen in your child and in your family and even in yourself as a parent. Because I did it for Bryce, which was really easy in my mind, but I also did 25 for myself. And I looked at how did I improve my life and what did I accomplish, in the past 12 months. And it helps me be encouraged that, okay, I did do some things right because I know I've done some things wrong, but let me focus on the things I did right. And then it helps me know where I want to improve and how I want to shape myself, going into the new year. So that's kind of what's been going on here. I was really, really excited to be a part of that blog post with these other mommies that that I've been working with on this. And we got to share it live this past Friday. So it's out there for everyone to see now. And I know we were talking about this year and maybe doing not just giving opportunities on the platform, but to actually do giveaways. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more about the giveaway, but the lead in with this is, and I know I'm very chatty today, so forgive me if I'm just chatting too much. It's all good. I have a lot to say. Yeah. But so each year since we started going to our church, Christ Fellowship, the pastors always have like a word that God gives them for our church every year. So last year I started asking God to give me a word for myself, not piggybacking on the church's word, but what is the word for me? And last year for 2020, he gave me the word simplicity. And I had no clue when he gave me that word. And I had shared it with you and you're like, yes, we need to simplify our lives. And we even talked about our schedules and what we were involved in, and we needed to slow down our pace and we needed to be more intentional. And we didn't know that we were going to kind of be forced into that because of everything that happened with the pandemic, but it was as if God prepared us already. Well, this year I was like November, December, and I'm like, okay, Lord, what's the word for this year? And so then the word that he gave me was generous. So I was like, generous. Okay. Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to be generous because I think the immediate thought is, I'm supposed to be giving away things to people or gifts, tangible gifts. But it's like, no, you can give your time. You can give talents. You can give encouragement. There's a lot of things that you can give that don't cost you a dime, but have so much meaning to the person that's receiving that gift. So it was really, I feel like this next year I'm going to identify new ways to give and how I can give and just kind of really be aware of that. And I know this is really going out there, but again, I'm kind of chatty. So my friend in Tennessee sent me a gift, and it was called, it came from a place called Uncommon Goods. So I'm giving them a plug, even though I really didn't know anything about them. But it was an Uncommon Goods gift. So I get the gift, and there were 6 little ceramic birds and a leaf in there. And I didn't know what that meant, but I even showed you that the outside of the box, there was the word purple on it. And I said, oh, well, my favorite color is purple. So she must have got me something purple. So I open it up, but then I see 6 birds in this leaf, and I didn't know what that meant. And so apparently each bird has a special meaning. That's, if you choose that bird, that's where your mind can kind of focus. So, it's kind of like an opportunity to grow yourself, which I'm all about that kind of stuff. Purple was generosity. So I feel like God gave me that affirmation through that gift that, yes, this is your word for 2021. He's given it to me through scriptures. It's just like, I think when God gives you a message, you start seeing it everywhere. And you probably went by those things before, but it never jumped out at you. But when words start popping off of signs and pages and you just have that awareness, then that's when I know that God's like speaking to me. So leading back to the giveaway. So you and I were talking about, well, what can we do here on the podcast that we can give something away?
It's a secret.
It's a secret. So our first giveaway, if you contact us through our website, you can register for our first giveaway. And we're going to announce the winner on the next show, but you just need to go to the parentingautismshow.com. Go to that website. There's a contact us button there, the link. So email us and just say that you're registering for the giveaway.
Yeah.
And we're not going to tell you what it is, but we will be contact, what we're going to do is like a drawing. So once we see, who all has contacted us, then we're going to do like a random drawing. We'll reach out to you, let you know if you're that winner. We'll get your address and we'll take care of it. So
should they put their address in the entry maybe so that we have it to send already?
Let's do that. So as you can tell, we're kind of winging this. We talked it through, but let's email us with your name, your mailing address, and then we'll have your email because that will come through when you contact us.
And this is worldwide. So if you're in a different country.
Yep. Just put it out there. It's for, again, we're just going to do a random drawing and then we're going to do this often throughout the year, but this will be the first one. We don't know how often, and we know what the gift is, but again, we want it to be a surprise.
Yep.
So we hope to hear from you. And
so what are we going to do? Put names in a hat? Is that what the deal is?
We can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I know.
That's cool. That's fun.
I like it. And you know what?
We'll announce it on the show.
And we'll let Bryce draw out the name.
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool.
So he'll be a part of that.
That's cool.
So that's what we're going to do. It'll be fun. And we're excited to be giving things in 2021. So I want to go back to the accomplishments and the goals that we set for Bryce. Because sometimes it honestly is hard to put your mind like, well, what did I really accomplish? Because you're in the thick of things. And believe me, we've been there.
After 4 p.m., it's hard to put my mind on anything.
Minus 7 p.m., but yes, I totally get it. And so I went back through and I looked at the 25 accomplishments that I listed for Bryce. And I thought, I'm not going to hit on all 25 of them in a podcast. People can go read it. And some of them were fun things that we put, like about our travels and him being a plane, piloting a plane and stuff like that. But I wanted to really talk about in discussion today and, kind of what they call that, break it down, peel it back. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more to these accomplishments that really have to do with parenting autism specifically. And so I feel like one of the biggest accomplishments for Bryce was teaching him to read because I feel like, well, first of all, props to you as his teacher for real.
Thanks.
He's been able to learn how to read. And that is a really, really big accomplishment. In fact, I didn't realize quite how big that is because he's really on schedule. He's just turned 7 and most kids his age, they're learning to read. But we know with autism that each individual works at their own pace.
They're different.
And it's not always at the same timeline as some other peers of their age are. And we met an autism parent the other day, and she was talking about her son who's 21. And she was telling us how he had a job. And we were like, oh, that's great, because that's always encouraging for us when we hear that. But in that conversation, which was fairly brief, she also said that her son doesn't read yet and that they were working on that. She has a tutor for him, but then when the pandemic came, it kind of stopped that progress, but they were starting it back up. And he's 21, and I just thought, wow, what a gift. Like that gift magnified in my mind that Bryce is able to read, because the benefits of him being able to read, my observation is it's reduced to help reduce his anxiety. Don't you think? Because he can read things now and doesn't have to ask us as many questions.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like after he became even more verbal as he learned, as he learned his sight words, the behaviors dropped off. And I was in an autism Facebook group just the other day, and somebody was saying, hey, my child, he has all these behaviors, and he's just, he has only a few words, and I just encourage them, the more words that they get, that seemed for us anyway, that the behaviors drop, because then he could express what was going on in his head, because he really couldn't tell us, So, and then with reading is like the gateway to the world. It's like he can read about his interests now, and he can build on his own education because he can read pretty well now. And that's one of the ways that you learn new things is through reading. So if we can get him reading, math, not so much. He's on track for math, but it's not nearly, to me, as important as reading. He's still on pace with math, but to me, reading is more
a higher priority in your teaching, correct?
Yeah.
As it should be, because I think about this. This is like a specific example, but we were having some self-injurious behaviors with Bryce recently. And so one of the things is that he was damaging his iPad. Not to break it, but, he would drop it, or he'd drop himself to the floor, or he would be hitting things. So we created some rules, and we put those rules on the refrigerator, and he could read those. So he had a visual, and Bryce is very visual. He had a visual reminder. So instead of us having to put pictures, because we used to work with pictures, now we can work with words and have that impact. And it was funny because his behavior subsided after a period of time. So I took it off the fridge. And then he said, well, where's the sign? Because he did it again. So that sign kept him on track. But it was because he could go by and read that. And it's the power of words. And I really feel like, man, that message for me is like resonating right now, the power of words. And for Bryce, the power of words, for him to be able to read has really, really made a big difference, with us parenting him. And now we can, do more things where we're telling him to read things. I also feel like since he's been able to read better and he can read more books and he has more interest, it's expanded his language. And so now he speaks in more sentences. He's picked up a lot more words and they stick with him.
Let me just interject there that, Bryce has games on his iPad, of course, and a lot of our audience, I'm sure, have tablets that their kids play on. And what I found is that if they watch YouTube videos of cartoons or whatever, see if you can turn on the closed captioning option.
Yes.
Because
that's good.
It types out the words at the bottom of the screen of whoever's saying whatever on that video. So it reinforces them reading and learning new words.
Yeah. And Bryce was showing me that last night, as a matter of fact. He's reading along with whatever they're saying. So yeah, that's a really good tip there, babe. Yeah. Okay, so reading books was definitely a huge accomplishment. I think I might have even put that as number one. But another accomplishment for 2020 was reduced anxiety, which I kind of said reading helped with that, but I believe there were other things that really helped with that. My notes being, he had equine therapy with the horses, which we were hoping would help reduce his anxiety, and it did. It has. There's just something about that that's been really, really good for him, and also the music therapy. Because when we rolled into 2020, Bryce still was struggling with live music, the happy birthday song, people clapping, unexpected noises. All of that was huge for him and a major source of anxiety. We're making progress on that. We've made a lot of progress in this past year with that. In fact, I think we had shared on here, but for his birthday, he even said to us with his words,
he wanted clapping.
My brain told me it's okay to sing happy birthday and to have clapping.
Yeah.
So it's so sweet. Like, he knows it's okay now, and that's how he expressed that. And now he wants you to clap when you sing happy birthday. He will request the song and clapping. And I think because in his mind, okay, it's okay now. And he's proud of the fact that he's overcome that fear.
Yeah.
And as far as live instruments go, listen, this house is full of music now. We even changed one of our rooms to be a music room. I mean, we've got everything in there and working more with, him learning to play the guitar more, and he loves the drums. There's so many things that he loves about music, and we love music. So it's really cool that we've overcome this hurdle, but it's been good for him. And we've talked about music before on the podcast, but for those who may not know and are new on this journey, when your child is listening to music, or any human for that matter is listening to music, there's a different side of your brain
that works.
Mm-hmm. And so when Bryce is getting music in addition to words, it's making both sides of his brain work at the same time. It's like full engine on, to use Bryce's terminology with cars, he's at full throttle. And that's really, really great. And we've seen a lot of benefits from that.
And you know what else is I noticed that when he sings, I'd say 90% of the time it's in key. So he must have, we both have a musical ear. So we can tell when something's in key or out of key. We can
both sing in key and play in key.
He must have gotten that from us.
That's true.
Because he can tell when something is in key or not.
And I've also noticed that he's been singing a lot, just like
humming
and singing randomly.
I think
and doing
reduces his anxiety.
It does. It's a sign. Like when I hear him singing, I'm like, he's happy. Versus when I look over and he's biting his nails, and he's nervous about something, and we'll be like, okay, we're like working through that. So, yeah, I would definitely say it was really, really wonderful to see how his anxiety reduced this past year. Another big accomplishment from, again, parenting autism was his improved social skills with his peers. We really made that a goal for this past year. And I actually
you did a great job with that. I'll commend you for setting his schedule with his little friends.
Yeah. I mean, I actually I printed out a calendar for each month.
That was huge for him.
Through the website. And I booked play dates for him. And then I even picked up that book that told me which games would be best to teach him. And I still have more to do on that. I got started and then school came back on and we lost some of the play dates.
So go ahead and name some of the games that we've played.
So the ones that we have taught him already, hide and seek. And again, he is not the best at hide and seek. He gets distracted and he forgets to seek his friends sometimes. And when he hides, he gets so excited that he giggles and says, I'm here. But it's teaching him that interaction. And so we'll keep working on hide and seek, but that was a big one. Red light, green light was another important one because it's teaching him to stop and to start and to follow directions and to do that with his peers. So that was a big one. Tag, which he really did master tag. And it's almost like everywhere you go, children know the game tag in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes it's freeze tag. Sometimes they label it something else. Bryce used to call it run tickle, but he has that concept and he loves to run. We've had to teach him that it's not tackle tag because he thinks he's going to tackle people. But, it's like those kind of basic things. And I know there's some others that we haven't taught him yet. I know charades is one of them. I wasn't prepared for this, so I don't have the list. Okay. But I will bring it back up again as we go. But 4. It was really good.
Yeah.
So that has been really good. And teaching him to interact with him, that's something we're going to continue to work on.
What else we had was before it went kaput was the water slide bounce house thing that we had. So even though they weren't playing a game on that, they were very happy running around, jumping on that, sliding down together, just interacting, and that's a big part of it too.
It is. And I think for Bryce, imitation is what he does best. He's not the leader, he's the follower. So when he can see what the other kids are doing, it helped him understand what he's supposed to be doing, good or bad, which is why we have to be extremely careful with his environment because he is an imitator and he will imitate whatever is being done pretty much. Although we're happy to say he does know when he's not supposed to do things as we're learning. But controlling his influences and his friends and his surroundings, that's a whole other topic. But we're definitely not just playing games outside, but we also focused on playing board games. That was a new introduction in 2020. And his ABA tech, she worked with him a lot on that. And you might, as a parent, go, really? They're paying her just to come here and play games with my kids all day? That's not really it. Board games teaches so much. It teaches taking turns. It teaches patience in that way.
You learn new words.
You learn new words. You learn to have conversation back and forth because it's like, oh, it's your turn, or oh, that happened. It's teaching you
strategy on how to win.
Strategy how to win, but also how to lose.
And how to be a good loser.
How to be a good loser. So there's so many lessons that I never realized were lessons growing up and playing board games, because I loved playing games growing up. I still like playing games. But there are a lot of things and life skills that you have to learn through that. Yeah. So we have...
We've got a lot of games.
We've got a lot of games now.
He likes Uno. He likes the camp game, which is a really cool, like, camping board game where you talk about things that you might see out in nature. He likes Connect 4 now.
I just got that for him.
He likes Sorry.
He does.
What are some of the other ones?
Well, he liked Uno originally, and then we just got Uno Deluxe because it's mechanical and it shoots the cards out.
Uno Attack.
Oh, why did I say Deluxe? Uno Attack. That's it. But
so
that's
because
what
it shoots cards out.
Yeah, so
that.
I'm telling you.
And that is fun.
It is. It's more fun for the adults, too.
The other one was Sneaky Snacky Squirrel Game.
That's a really good one, and it's great with the fine motor skills. And he had gotten that... his ABA tech played that with him, and now he got his own version, and he was very, very happy about that. Yeah. I want to get him Battleship. We haven't got that yet, but I think that's one that will be good with fine motor skills, and it's also strategic.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I think he's about ready for that. Yeah. So, and then we purchased some games through... I can't remember that website, but they're all educational games, and so like, What Should You Do was a good one because...
Is that Lakeshore Learning?
That's it, honey. Okay. Yeah, Lakeshore Learning. So What Should You Do is a really good game, and we do that with his friends as well, and we try to find games that really highlight social skills, and that way Bryce can learn that with his friends together. And my 2021 plan to build upon with the social is really helping the kids to understand Bryce more, because as he gets older, his peers also get older, and his peers become more aware of Bryce's differences. And I want them to just understand him more and understand autism more and really teach acceptance more. And I'm quite sure I'll be talking about that a lot as we go through the year, because that is high on my list of things to do. But
another thing that I have incorporated recently in the past few weeks, or past couple of weeks, I would say, is playing a different game with him as part of Daddy's School. At the end of Daddy's School during the day, we play a different game that's in his closet. So, he's collected these games over the years and, toys and things, and they all don't get played with. They just get forgotten about. It's like the Toy Story movie, right?
Yes.
So, so I've made it a point that each day we have to play a different game. So we can't go back to the same game. Right. It's a new game or a new different toy that we're going to play with. And, we'll figure out which ones that he really loves, and, maybe, who knows?
I think that's great on so many levels. The first thing I think of is Bryce can definitely get stuck on the same thing all the time. And I think that's fairly common for the autistic mind. You find something, hey, if I find something I love, I want to do it a lot too. But to an extreme for him. So saying, okay, we already played Uno Attack yesterday, we have to do a different game. Not to say that we can't play that again, but you have to do a different game before we can go back to Uno Attack.
And he can pick it. And
he can choose the game. We're in this whole, January should be called organizing, because I think everybody starts to organize in the beginning of the new year. And I just went through his closet and organized everything. But Bryce is also an only child. So it's not like he has a sibling that's going to initiate play with him. He has us. Right. And that's pretty much it.
Right.
If we don't initiate it, it's not going to happen. And so I think we have to be intentional to do this. And it was already laid on my heart. So for you to do that for Daddy's School, which is great. But I also feel like I want to take 30 minutes when I come home from work at some point to play with him, to like truly sit down. He has
Engage,
my undivided attention, and let's play a game. And
I've noticed that even if it's on his tablet, and you just sit with him and watch him play or engage with him while he's playing, hey, that's a great race. You did a great job. Or, wow, watch out for that one. That really means so much to him. It
does. I did that this morning with him, as a matter of fact, because there's one game. He likes this Crash of Cars. And so I went online and I actually Googled some YouTube videos so that we could learn how to get more gems, because I'm trying to teach him, don't buy the gems, earn the gems, which is another great life lesson. You don't want everything instantly.
Right.
Work for it, right? But I'll say, I'll help you find some ways. So because I took that time to help him do that, and then I'm showing him where the crowns are that he needs to pick up with his car. It's actually kind of fun. I'm like, oh, go get, there's a crown. Now he knows that. So like he wants me to play that. So again, Bryce would have me do that all day, every day if we could.
Right.
But I carved that out, that if that's my my playtime with him, great. Also a board game here, there. So, just taking that intentional time, undivided, going to his world, but teaching him, just playing with him. Again, he's an only child, so he does need us to do that when we can't have friends here all the time. So and we also, just for the listeners, so they kind of know, because what we do, we have a calendar, a magnetic calendar on our refrigerator with the dry erase.
Yeah.
And so, listen,
this has been a real help for us.
It has been.
And
we're older and we don't remember as much. It's the truth.
Yeah. So we
need visuals.
We put an S on there if he got his supplements for the day.
Yes.
I'm putting down the game that we played on there so we remember which game. But really what's good about that too is he looks at it every day, so he knows the days of the week. He knows, all that. And then at the end of the month, we erase that previous month, and he makes the new calendar. He writes the month, the year, and then he puts all the numbers in there. So he's writing, so it's very good for him.
It is. It's been a great tool.
And, when we say something's going to happen in the future, we write it on the calendar. If there's a rocket launch or if we're going away for something, we put it on the calendar so he can visually see when it is and he can count the days, because as as we all know, as these kids on the spectrum, they have a hard time predicting the future. So it's so much better when they know what is coming so that it's not a surprise to them. They can mentally prepare for it.
Well, again, that reduces anxiety.
It does.
Because he knows. In fact, we use that talking about like even his games. He had wanted to get this one game that cost a lot of money, and we let him use his Christmas money, but we said, well, then you're not going to get a game on this Sunday because this is 2 weeks worth, so you'll get it on the next Sunday. So you wrote on that calendar, no game today.
Right.
So it was not a surprise, and there was no meltdown when that Sunday came because he was prepared for it. And that really helps us with the supplements, because I'll come home because I won't know if you gave it to him at lunch or not. So then when it's dinner time, I'll be like, did you give him his supplements? And you'll be like, yeah. Or if I see the S, I know it's done. If not, I'll be like, no, I didn't get to it.
Right.
Or, I forgot to put the S on there. And in fact, we hit every day this week because we're being disciplined with it. And when we're not, listen, things fall through the crack. Life is life, and we're busy. So
nobody's perfect.
Nope. And it's been really good with the games too. So then we know. Yeah. So anyway, so that's been cool. The last one that I want to talk about that I think really has been important and improved in 2020 is Bryce's comprehension of emotions. And being able to verbally express them. Huge, huge, huge change in the parenting game for us, don't you think?
Yeah, I think even he's started to understand cartoons, and so he knows who's being good and who's being bad in the cartoons. And he's learning about what makes cartoon characters sad or happy, and even in real life. And we'll stop. If somebody's crying or something, we'll stop and say, what's wrong there? And he'll say, oh, they're crying. And we can say, why do you think they're crying? So we can have a conversation about that and guide him along with reinforcing what emotions mean what.
Yeah, and he's able to tell us his emotions more.
Because of that.
Is really big. because 90% of the time, honestly, Bryce is happy. Mm-hmm. Or as he calls it, excited.
Right.
Like he chooses the excited
emoji
over the happy emoji because he's one level above excited or happy. He really is. He exudes joy. That's what we hear about people that are around Bryce. Even if we're not around, it's like he's always so happy. He's always so joyful. He brings joy out in others, which what a gift that is. But there are times he's human and he's sad about something or he's scared. And now he understands the emotion of being scared or if something makes him nervous, which we want. Like we help him identify. If we're seeing him biting his nails, are you nervous? Is something scaring you? Yes. Okay. Can you tell me why you're nervous or what that is? And now that we can talk that out, but we don't just ignore them. And we definitely, I don't try to correct his emotions very often because I'm not, hey, if that's how he's feeling. But if I think he's confused and he doesn't really understand what his emotion is, I may try to guide him to it just because he's still learning what they are. But we have seen his ability to express his empathy for other people. Like he's genuinely concerned if somebody is hurt or if there's a boo-boo and I'm just going to share this because it's super sweet. So big accomplishment here in the Culture Hotel. Bryce is sleeping in his room now. Woohoo. Woohoo. So this is a 2021 accomplishment out the gate that I did not think was going to happen.
He's 7 now for people that have not listened to our show
previously. So he turned 7 in October. And
that was our goal on his 7th birthday. We were building him up to that day. We're like, Bryce, when you turn 7, you're going to sleep in your room. And so we're like... And he was like in agreement with it, right? So we were kind of surprised. And but when his birthday came and went, it was like, no, he wasn't ready.
He wasn't. And to kind of give a little more backstory for those that don't know or can't remember, the prior year, Bryce, our goal was to get him out of our bed and into his own bed when he turned 6. And so when he turned 6, he had a Thomas the Train bed and we brought it into our room beside our bed. And it probably took 1 week after his birthday. And I remember him like sucking it up like a big boy and going, okay, I'm 6 years old. And he got out of our bed and he went into his bed and that was it. And he stayed in there after that like he knew.
Let me just say that when he was sleeping in our bed, he had to have his hand on each of us or underneath of us.
Because he's a sensory seeker.
It was a security for him to be able to touch us as he went to sleep, just to know that we were there. So it was a big leap for him to go from our bed to his own bed.
It was. And we thought, okay, if we can get him out of our bed, just a half a foot away from our bed into his bed, A, we would sleep better, but B, it would be better for him and it would help him overcome that need to be touching us for that security so he could get more secure in his own self. So mission was accomplished with that. And then Bryce continued to grow and grow. He literally outgrew physically his Thomas
He even
bed.
told me one day, Daddy, my bed is too small. And
And
it's one of those days that you wake up and you're like, oh, you know what? You're right.
It's so true. But we're like, we're not going to, that's it. We're not going to bring a twin size bed into our room. It's not going to do it. So this is where we're going to make the transition. So we sold his Thomas bed to another little boy who's very happy. Mommy sent us a picture of him in it. It was cute. So we know Thomas went to a happy home. Well, what are we going to do for Bryce? So we went through Facebook Marketplace. We found a bed for him and we had it out in the garage waiting for the move. So Thomas was gone. His bed was in the garage.
Oh, and we did
an air mattress in between.
The air mattress,
because during Christmas time, we slept out by the Christmas tree one night and we blew out the air mattresses for us because that was like a fun night.
Well, so then he wanted to do it every night.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, this is the transition time. Let's keep him on the air mattress because he's happy with that.
And my thinking was, hey, if he's on an air mattress, he might not like the air mattress, but he might like his real bed.
I know, right?
So, but it backfired.
He didn't care.
He liked the air mattress.
He loved it. So we had the air mattress in our room, but again, January is organizing, and we're organizing our garage. So I'm like, that's it. The bed's coming in.
Yeah.
So last weekend we put the bed together. We
were
got
waiting
the mattress.
on a mattress, I think is what we were waiting on. Yeah.
So then the irony of that is I had bought a bed set for my niece almost 20 years ago. And they had that mattress still, and it came back. So the gift that I gave back then for my niece, she's now grown, married, and a mommy of her own. That mattress came back to me. My brother still had it, which was awesome. Yeah. So anyway, so Bryce is on that mattress. So we put it in this week, and the first night, it does fit one of us to sleep in the bed with him, but he wanted us both in the room. So we had the air mattress on the floor. One was in the bed with him. We brought in Alexa so he could have his music
and his little
and the
noise
air
machine.
purifier with the noise machine. So we brought everything. All his comforts from our bedroom came to his bedroom, which was awesome.
We knew if he came back to our bedroom, it would not be the
same. Yeah, the comforts are gone. So we did that the first 3 nights. I think all of us slept in here. So then I'm like, okay, let's tell him this is the last night for all of us. And the next night he has to choose one of us.
Yep.
And so this is the weaning process. So he couldn't understand why can't, it's cute because he has chosen you the last 2 nights. And I think it's because
and
he sees you as his protector.
He's having a really hard time choosing, though. Like,
he is.
He has to really think about it. He goes back and forth, and then...
Well, his question is, how many tickle monsters do you have?
Right, because he likes to be tickled.
Right. So last night, neither one of us had any. We were on to his game, right?
And it was late.
So we're like, I don't have any. You don't? Nope. They all went to sleep at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't have any either. So first he chose me. But then he's like, he didn't want to hurt my feelings. So he said, Mommy needs to sleep in the bed for church tomorrow. So Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how he did. So it was like, no, Mommy, I want you to get good sleep. So I need Daddy. That's his way of saying
you know what? He did choose you first.
He did.
And then he said.
But then he realized his protector wouldn't be there.
I'm sorry, Daddy. When he chose you, he said, I'm sorry, Daddy.
He felt bad that he chose me over you. He apologized. And then he's like, no, I need Daddy. Mommy needs to sleep for church.
That was so funny.
I know. Yeah. So and I'm just really sharing this too because that's just part of his emotions. Like he didn't want to hurt your feelings, but he didn't want to hurt my feelings because he knew he had to choose.
Right.
So he figured out a way. And that is a high level of thinking. Like, okay, I do want Daddy because he's my protector. Because Bryce is my protector. So it's probably hard on him that I'm not with him because he worries about me.
Right.
Right? It's like a two-edged sword there.
Yeah.
But he knows that the night before I had said, well, he's like, why are you sleeping in your bed? And I said, because I have to work tomorrow and I need to get my sleep. So that's what I had told him on Thursday night. So he understood that, okay, well, if Mommy needs to sleep, I'll just say that she needs sleep for church and then I can get Daddy in there. It was a great level of thinking. But anyway, so it's been really successful and it was cute. And he's realized now that there's things in his room that he never saw before, like his soccer trophy. And then every night it's like, Groundhog Day. Look, there's my soccer trophy. And then we come in the next day. Look, there's my soccer trophy. Yeah. He's so excited.
And we don't sleep in his room through the night.
Oh, yeah. So the first night, we slept in here all night.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want him to wake up and then
scared.
We're not here and then it would all backfire. But Bryce is a good sleeper.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure. So then the next night, we slipped out. And now we are able to slip out each night after he falls asleep.
And we leave a light on out in near the kitchen, so if he does wake up, he can see his way to our room.
Or the bathroom as well, which is near his room. Because our house is designed where we're on the opposite side of the house. It's not that far away, but it's far away if you're 7 years old and you're scared of the dark and missing your parents. It could seem very far away.
So we're thankful that he sleeps through the night without getting up.
And even this morning, I felt like was one step even one step further into this progression is when I woke up this morning. I thought I heard a game being played and I came in and he was sitting on his bed and playing his game.
Yay, victory.
That's huge. Because normally it's like coming in looking for us or, something. But he was comfortable enough. Like he knows now, he owns that this is his room and this is where he hangs out. This is where he sleeps. And so big victory for us. That's really cool. So that would have been one of my goals for this year, but it was, and we already hit it. Boom, out of the park. But another one, you're going to say something.
I just want to say that, we don't want other people to compare our situation to their situation, because every kid does things at their own pace, So if your kiddo is not at his level or above his level, it's not. We're not here to compare other kids. We're thankful for our little victories. We can celebrate in our little family each little thing that happens, and that's what everybody should do that's listening. When you have progression of any sorts or, something that happens that you can celebrate it, that take those celebrations when you can get them. I'm
glad you pointed that out because you and I have had that discussion off the air, and I have said before, comparison is a thief of joy, and it is. And I was telling you the other night, with this podcast, there has to be a healthy balance of not over celebrating with Bryce because you don't want listeners to get discouraged. Like, wow, he's doing all these things and my child is still struggling with fill in the blank, right? I know potty training is a huge one,
right?
And Bryce is potty trained. A lot of people still struggle with that.
Sure.
But I also don't want to do so much doom and gloom that people will be like, that's depressing.
And,
you know what I mean? So it's like you want to give that hope.
Why do I want to listen to that podcast if it's all doom and gloom?
Yeah. Right? So it's like we want to keep it real. And believe me, we do have real struggles and we have shared them.
We have a long way to go.
A long way to go. But we also want to, we find hope in other people sharing their progressions and where they're at, like that mom the other day that her son does have a part-time job at 21. That's fabulous. But he still can't read. But look, he has a job. We're wondering, will Bryce ever be able to have a job? Right. There's a lot of things that every child is different. It shapes out differently. But a win for one really is a win for all, which is why we did the blog post sharing the stories.
That is a good way to put it. A win for one is a win for all.
Yeah. So
because we want all of our kids to do great.
Yeah. And that's why we do share this, because you talk about giving. We have given our privacy away for the last 2+ years doing this podcast. Sharing our world, being very vulnerable, putting it out there for the whole world to hear. But we've shared that because in our hearts, we really believe we're supposed to, and that we're praying over this, that it will help somebody, that whoever's listening will find some value, will find a nugget in this.
You're not in this alone,
Find encouragement in this. Yeah, and that's why we do this, is to give that hope.
A lot of adults, autism is their world, and they may not even be able to get out much to interact with other adults, let alone other adults that have kids on the spectrum. So, we might be a lifeline to those people, to let them know, hey, there is sunshine out there.
That's what our hope and prayer is on that. I guess I'm just going to say this one last goal, and then I think we can wrap up for the day. But one thing I really want to work on for Bryce in 2021, in addition to improving upon the other things, but really working on his self-regulation of his emotions and to continue to use his words instead of behaviors. We still have a lot of this throwing himself to the floor. And apparently that's very common. I don't know why that is. Maybe I don't understand what that is. I've never thrown to myself floor frustration. But for him, he has a hard time self-regulating. So that's the big goal. That's what we'll work on. Those are the tools we'll be seeking and also sharing throughout this year. And we did just get his ABA plan. And we just signed off on it this week. So we're going to be sharing an update on ABA on the next podcast and where we're at on that as his ABA techs.
Yeah.
And that's another big thing for 2021. So we will be talking quite a bit about that so that we can help others learn how to work with their kids at home in addition to whoever's on their team.
And what's working for us.
And what's working for us. And again, if it fits, great, use it. If not, maybe share it with somebody else that you know of that it might help. But I think it's time to wrap up here. We've gone the whole time without Bryce popping in.
Yeah. So, if you like what you hear and you're a new listener, by all means, hit the subscribe button and you'll get updates to our podcast. Again, our website is www.parentingautismshow.com. And if you feel led to leave a review, we would appreciate the review. So,
yes. Can I share one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
And that was a good wrap up.
Yeah.
But we did get these shareable 2020 fun facts about our podcast.
Yeah.
So I want people to know that we do see, we get feedback as to how many people are listening. We definitely get notified when there's reviews, which every time that happens, we're very excited because we need that affirmation and encouragement as well that people really are listening and getting something out of it. That's the most important thing. But we published 24 episodes in 2020.
Year. Okay.
So 24 times we carved out time to sit here and share our world, and I'm glad that we did that. The most popular episode of 2020 was when we made our decision to pause ABA therapy.
And
I remember
decision.
that one because we decided to discuss that on the air. What are we going to do? And it was a big decision. That one was downloaded 1,022 times.
Yeah.
And that was late in the year.
Right.
So another one, so we learned that Columbus, Ohio is our most popular city. So a shout out to all those in Columbus, Ohio, 298 times.
Wow.
So that was pretty, and I don't even know anybody.
Nobody's
Columbus.
reached out to us.
It's not like
from
that's where our family
Columbus,
is. Yeah.
right.
We have a fan in Ohio for sure that I talk to, but
connected to,
I don't know if it's I shouldn't say fan, you know what I mean? Like a listener. Let's see, listening, the most, what do you want to call it? Apps. Sorry, baby. Get it out, Sandy.
You're killing me.
Apple Podcast, Stitcher, and Spotify apps. Those are the most popular. That's what I wanted to say. So we had 20 hours of content, and the longest was our decision to pause ABA, which was an hour and 7 minutes. And our shortest was 34 minutes when we talked about language. So those were some fun facts. Yeah. I'm getting the role here of let's wrap this up because I have no idea where we're at on time.
I don't either. But thank you all for listening this long.
Yeah.
All right. Till next time, don't forget to go to our website and contact us for our free giveaway.
Yes.
And we'll announce that on our next podcast.
Yeah. We're excited to do it.
Okay. See ya.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.